Thank you very much. So before we start, I need to give a little health warning. I saw this one on LinkedIn and I thought it was too funny not to share. So signs of a stroke. If you say like I love Microsoft Teams, that might be not very good. Okay, anyway, good. My session was all about how to be the best Teams team owner. Who is a Teams owner of you guys? Owns a team, all of you, cool. So I can already say that there's probably not gonna be that many things that you don't know yet. So there's still time to run away. Okay, just saying, you were warned. Also, dear sir, I love your look. I've got so many AI-generated images that look exactly like you. It's not personal, it's all AI, just saying. Okay. Okay, good, cool. All right. So, congratulations, you are now the proud owner of a Teams team, which is very cool. So, the first thing, I don't know what the first idea was with you when you got made owner of a Teams team. I can still remember the first time that happened to me, and I was like, sure, I can do that. Well, basically, back in my head, I was a little screaming, like, okay, where do I start? What should I do? How can I make sure that the right people do the right things? And how can I make sure that they do the things right? Right? Right. Okay. Good. So now we got that out of the way. So what happens when people are made a Teams owner, they don't know where to start, they call me. That's where I come in. They don't call the A team, they call me. So my name is Marijn. I've been doing SharePoint and Teams for a very, very long time. And one of the things that I love to do also is doing a podcast together with Steve Dalby called Office 365 Distilled. I don't know if you're into podcasts, but it's a podcast where we talk about Microsoft 365, governance and adoption, and we always end with whiskey tasting. We just recorded episode 172 or something, so that means that we drank a lot of whiskeys. So that's why I now call myself a spirit guide for Microsoft 365. So that's where that came from. So some also say that I'm an alcoholic, but that's fine. Good. So what are we going to talk about? First, I'm going to lead with some of the common challenges that you might have seen as well when you're dealing with a Teams team. And then we're going to look at how we can solve them. And we're kind of going to follow the life cycle of a team. Good. So, with that said, oh geez, this is very white. What are some top challenges that we get? So, first of all, this is the one that looks least like you, I have to say. Team sprawl and duplication. You're probably all members of a lot of teams. And then next to all those teams, you're probably part of a lot of group chats. And maybe the group chat has the same name as the team or covers kind of the same things. And maybe you're part of, let's say, the HR department, and maybe you've got 5 teams around the HR department. So there are, in a lot of organizations, a lot of teams that do the same thing. And people are kind of confused about, okay, I've got this document. Where do I now need to put it? Or I need to mention something. What is the right audience? What's the right team to do this? So that's the first big thing. The other one is that we've got all this new technology, but we're still using old ways of working. For example, emailing meeting notes. That's one that we do a lot of times. Or if I'm not certain where to post a certain message, I will revert back to sending an email. Yeah. All right. Governance and structure. Who of you is happy with the way governance around Teams is set up in your organization? Oh, so many hands. Oh, wow. Okay. Then there's the narrator says no hands were shown. Okay. Good. All right. Inconsistent naming conventions. So one of the things that was recently rolled out in Teams, which I love, is the fact that you can now put your own sections in your Teams chats things. One of the things that I hate is that I can just move the channels in there. So if I have something called channel 2 in different teams, I can just put that all together, but now I don't know where they are from. So now I've got 2 channel 2s, and where are they coming from? Also, I might have a channel called general, which is private. That happens. These are real life examples. So I'm not making this up. By the way, quick tip. I know this is in Dutch. So one of the sections that I create is the section waiting for an answer. So if I ask something to someone, I'll put that conversation into the section waiting for an answer, and by the end of the day, I can just take a look at, oh, I'm still waiting for this person to reply back. So I don't know if anyone does that. You do that? Awesome. Bonus points. I've got some swag here. I'm not going to throw that to you, but these are some podcast keychains. They don't contain any whiskey, but okay, good. Permissions, that's a heavy one. I mean, to be honest, I started about 16 years ago in SharePoint, back then in SharePoint 2003 still. Access and permissions were a problem then. If I'm now talking to my customers, it's still a problem today. Yeah? Nobody knows who has access to what. Definitely if you share your SharePoint to different people than your actual team, or if you share documents to other people, nobody has a good overview of what is shared to who and who has access to what. Also guest access. I don't know who of you are some kind of consultant role or is working in different Teams environments. You are, of course, yeah. Yeah, you're a guest in so many of these other tenants, and do they even know that you still exist after the project has finished? I mean, I can still access tenants from 3 years ago, let's say, where a project's finished 3 years ago. I can still go on there and change things, so that's probably not a good idea. Content growth. We're all creating more and more stuff, and now we got Copilot, so it lets us create more stuff more easily and more faster, which is awesome. But do we really need to contain all these things? Like every week we have a meeting and we create a meeting report. That's cool, but in 6 months' time, do we still need those meeting reports? Probably we all just keep them on there. Same thing with Teams, same thing with channels. The project's gone, I'll just leave the project there. Nobody deletes Teams anyway, nobody archives Teams, so they all stay there and people are complaining that they're part of too many teams. Well, that's my thing. You're looking at me like, what the hell are you saying? I don't have that problem? Okay, cool, yeah, it's good for you, you solved it, awesome. And then, there you go. That's creepy, right? Anyway, lack of lifecycle management. As I said, the project's finished, the thing is done. We had our Christmas party that we used Teams to plan. We never archive it, we never delete it, it's always there. Cool. Meetings, our favorite thing that we all like to do. Also, picture I found on LinkedIn, I love that. Coming from a company called Corporate Rebels. Yeah, should we really have those meetings? And what are we doing with those meetings to make them really productive? Good. So, dear sir, how can we fix this? Once more, that's where I come in. So, first of all, there's a job for IT. IT needs to set up some guardrails. Yeah? I'm a big fan of sensitivity labels, where you can say, okay, everything that we discuss in this team can be shared outside. Or the stuff that we discuss in this team, we're trying to buy another company, or we're trying to grow in a certain direction. Everything here should be secret, can't be shared outside. One of the things that I'm also a big fan of is baseline governance. Baseline governance is also a topic that we discuss on the podcast quite a lot. What I see a lot of organizations do when they roll out a certain application or new service is they made the decision that they're going to do this, they installed it, then they're going to take 3 months to define governance, and then they'll give it to the users. Now, IT as a service to the organization, they need to provide value. And if you're going to buy something, you want to make sure that that gives the company value from day one. So baseline governance means from day one, we just make it available to everyone. We might look at 1 or 2 of the biggest topics that we kind of want to put guardrails around, but we just give it to the people as fast as possible. Then we'll see how they're using it, and then depending on that use, we'll add some more guardrails. That makes sure that the organization can benefit from the new tool as soon as possible, and we can also improve while we go and see where we need to add some more extra things. IT also needs to set up some meeting defaults, and probably also needs to take a look at the SharePoint sharing default. So if I want to share a file, what should be the default that's there? Should it be default to the company read, or only to certain people write, for example? Yeah? So those are important things that IT needs to do. Now, it is more than IT. Yeah? So it's rolling out Teams. As Caruana Gatimu, you probably heard the name from Microsoft, she always says that rolling out Teams is not really a technology project. It's more of a head change. So you need to start working in a different way. So as a Teams owner, you need to make sure that the technical bits are fine, but you also need to foster collaboration. You need to make sure that people can work together how they want to work together. You need to make sure that your team has a structure that everybody can understand. If you're doing a lot of projects, why not make that a template with certain channels that you always have so that everybody knows the structure. And you need to make sure that it all runs smooth, so you need to make sure that you got good decisions made around what tool am I going to use, what for what kind of communication, for example. Yeah? So it is more than it-ish. Okay, cool. So as I said, we're going to take this life cycle-wise away. So first of all, we need to create a new team. First step, let's set a clear purpose for that team. So we need to define what we want to do. So is it going to be a project? Is it going to be a collaboration? Are we going to use externals or not? And then we can write that in the team description when we create a new team. Now, that team description, when you create a new team, is read by about 0% of the people that are actually part of your team. So my recommendation, always create a general channel and put that in there as well. Yeah, good. If you see me disappear, that's because I dropped from the stage here. So I'll just try that, move that away. Cool, so we're gonna create a team. What about naming conventions? I'm not a big fan of naming conventions, but they could be very useful. Yeah. What about sensitivity labels? So if you wanna add sensitivity labels on your group level, that is something that needs to be set up by IT, and then you can start using those. Who is using sensitivity labels in their organization? Awesome, good, cool. And then private and public, and of course, when I say that my team is going to be confidential, then certain options are grayed out, because then I can't make a team like that. So we're creating the team with a good name. The next thing that we need to do is we need to come up with that first name. Yeah? I always thought that the way Microsoft envisioned it when they first brought it out, where the first channel was just named General, I thought that was brilliant. Everyone was complaining about it. I don't know why, because I thought that was just good, because that's what it is. I mean, that's the place where you can have your general information about your team. And I also love the fact that Microsoft then said, okay, we'll change it. You can call it whatever you want, as long as it's not general. Okay, they fixed that, by the way. Now you can create a first channel that's called general. You can't create a second channel that's called general. So if the first channel you create is announcement, and then you want to create the second one, you can't call that general. Don't know why. Anyway, if you're looking for a good name, now maybe you're all creating teams or channels in Swedish, then you don't really have that problem. But I'm always running into the question like, okay, what should we call it then? If we can't call it general, what should we call it? Here are some examples that you can use if you want. Good. So we created our first channel. Then we need to bring some structure into our team. And we can create some standard channels for the things that we want to do. Like, for example, around certain IT projects, we might want to have an analysis, we might have a testing, we might have a whatever. If we're doing marketing, it might be news posts, it might be market research, things like that. Of course, we can use private channels. Now, I kind of have this opinion, and I don't know if it's popular or not, but I call it an unpopular opinion, that I don't like private channels. I like shared channels much better. So what I do is I don't create private channels. Most of the time, I even turn it off, and I just let people create a shared channel that is not shared with the whole team, and then you can share it with the people you want. Yeah? Who's also doing that? Who's a fan of private channels? Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. That gives me like zero information, like this. Okay. Let's go. Exactly, yes. And are there any Microsoft people in the room? No? Okay. So this, I know this is being recorded, but I mean, most of the work that Microsoft is doing in the future or is building right now, it's all going to be around shared channels. So that's where the future is. Okay. Can't say anything more. Okay, good. So I like to use those shared channels much more than those private channels. Just better. Good. Then if we're going to create channel names, there's really no best practice around it. What I would say is that use the people in your company, have a little governance group, and try to decide like what do we want to use as names for this. Now, again, with the example that I gave earlier, with the channels that you can now put in your own sections, what I like to do is I like to add the name of the team into the channel name, so that when people put it somewhere in their own section, that you can actually see what it is. Yeah? Because once more, Microsoft is focusing no longer on the team level, but it's much more focused on the channel level. Yeah? You see that with the sections as well. You can't put a team in there, you can't put channels in there. So teams go in the back, and all the channels go in the front. So I like to do this. Yeah? So that you don't have those channel 2 5 times in your section, but you can actually see where they come from. Okay, cool. So we can create our channels. The next question that we need to ask ourselves, which is also one of the new functionalities, is are we going to use the threads or the post layout for this specific channel? Yeah. Who of you have played with the threads view already? Okay, cool. What the threads view actually does is it makes your channel look more like a group chat. So for channels that are not really the official channel, you can use the threaded, because this is actually the same screen or the same channel conversation. This is the normal post one, it takes up my whole screen. This is the threaded one, which is just like a little bit of text down there. Yeah. So it looks much more like a group chat. It feels much more like a group chat, because one of the problems that Microsoft also noticed was that for marketing department, we have a team called marketing department. But next to that, we also had a group chat with everyone from marketing, where we can do shits and giggles, where we can just say easy things that we just want to communicate, because this feels too official. And if we post something here, it looks important, while the thing that we want to say is maybe not that important, so we might want to use that one. So think about all the channels that you want to create. Do I want to post, or do I want a threads layout? You can always switch it back. So if you created one of those in the threads view and you say, okay, now this is not really working, you can always switch back, vice versa. Okay. Because I always like to add like a shits and giggles channel to every project. Definitely when you're using emojis and stickers. I love them, but if somebody posts a sticker, I know that at least 7 people are going to reply with another sticker, and then my whole screen is going to be filled with stickers. While if we do it like this, it's much more contained, and if you give them a place to do it, they won't clutter up all the other channels. So that might be an idea. Then, one of the other tips that also nobody ever reads is every channel can also have its own description. So I've got this specific channel, and I can have an about this channel here, where you can put some guidelines. This is what we're going to use this channel for. Nobody's ever going to read that, I know. But it's a place where you can put that if you want. As I said before, a better way to do it is to also pin a post with the guidelines. This is the channel that we're going to use for that, and this is how I want you all to behave here. Yeah? So that's definitely a way where you can do that you can pin on every channel so that people know what the rules are in that specific channel. The next thing that we need to do once we created that channel, or when we are creating that channel, is we can also recommend this for people. So if it's an important channel that I want people to see in their list of chats, I might want to turn that on. If I know that it's only important for a few people, I might want to turn that off so that it's not cluttering the user interface. Yeah? And this is, by the way, if you create or edit a channel, this way you can choose that threads or posts layout. And then we can start working with it, and at some point it might not be useful anymore. It loses its purpose. Think about deleting or archiving it. Yeah? You can now also do that with a channel. So let's say you got a project, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 1 is done, archive the phase 1 channel. It's no longer necessary. People can still look at it, they can still find it, but it's not cluttering up your user interface. Because that's the beauty of Teams, is that I can see all the teams that I'm a part of. The bad thing about Teams is I see all the teams that I'm a part of. So, which is the opposite with SharePoint. I don't see all the SharePoint sites that I'm a part of, but then I also can't find all the SharePoint sites that I'm part of. So it's the opposite. So anyway, so if it's no longer necessary, think about sunsetting, think about deletion, think about archiving if you still want to keep it. Yeah? All right. Then membership. Of course, we need to add the right people, and that's very easy if we're just creating a new team. Super easy. We can just say, okay, these are people that we want to add. As you all know, add 2 owners as minimum. That's best practice. But also don't make everyone an owner. Sometimes I see that with my customers where they just say, I'm creating a new team, marketing department, I'll just add everyone as an owner just in case. Recipe for disaster. And then the important bit, which is often forgotten, is do a review every so often. Not only like, is the content still relevant? Do we still need this? But also, who has access to this? This is definitely important if you got a big team with lots of channels, lots of private channels, lots of shared channels. Definitely take a look at these things. If your company is very focused on Teams and you're doing a lot of things in Teams, think about buying a solution. Yeah, there are a bunch of people there. Somewhere. I always forgot on what floor we are, but there are people there somewhere that are selling a bunch of things. It might be a good idea to take a look at one of these solutions. Definitely, if you're sharing files, might definitely be a good idea. All right. How are we on time? Yeah, we're good. Yeah. Oh, good. We're almost halfway. No, I'm kidding. No. Good. Okay. So that's the first thing. Manage your membership wisely. Also, this is a tip, and I don't know how many people know this. I'm always finding that a lot of people don't know this. If you create a new team, it's going to create a Microsoft 365 group where you can add people. And if you add another group in there, it will break down the group and add the people in there. You can also go into Entra ID, Active Directory, create Microsoft 365 there, and you can create it as a dynamic group. For example, with a formula saying, everyone that is part of my HR department should be in this group. So that's going to create a Microsoft 365 security group, and then you can say, I want to have a team for this as well. So then you have a team with all the people from marketing, of HR in this case. If people join the HR department, they're automatically part of the team. If they leave the HR department, they're automatically gone. So you don't have to manage that membership. It's super easy. Yeah. So I don't know, who's using this? Few people? Okay, cool. I love this. So for departments, I always use this. The only gotcha here is that you need to take a look at your rules and you need to make sure that these fields are filled in the user properties from the people. Yeah? If your properties are not good, if they're not correct, then this is not going to work. Yeah? Good. So for all these channels that we're going to create, we can also, or the teams that we're going to create, we need to make sure what our members can do, what our guests can do. So definitely take a look at that. For specific channels, take a look at, do we want to have some moderation? Can everyone just post here? Same thing with files. Yeah. So we got the Files tab. One of the questions I get the most is how can I make sure that only a few people can post files in these folders? Super easy to do in SharePoint. So definitely take a look if that is a requirement, set that up. Yeah. But write that down as well. Because if you win the lottery and you say, I'm off to my island in Hawaii, the next guy or girl that needs to manage your environment, make sure that they also can easily understand what's happening. Yeah? Okay. Then, of course, we need to communicate effectively. This is also something that I always say to everyone. Try to make some good guidelines around how you want to communicate. So if somebody posts a message, don't all go reply to that message. Just use your emojis, for example, instead of writing down stuff. I like that. Also, make some kind of agreement within your organization, like what tool are we going to use for what? Yeah. So this is one that I found from a long time ago, where it says if I want to reach a coworker and if I want to share a file, I can do that with OneDrive. If it's not urgent, I can use Teams chat. If it's urgent, I'll just call the person, or I'll just walk over to their desk and talk to them. Yeah. If I want to talk to a team, I have different tools. If it's going to be about externals or the whole company, I can use different tools. So this is some kind of matrix that you can set up together with your IT department, with your communications department. How do we, in our organization, want to work? And this is an example. Just tweak it however you want to use it. But that's important, that you set these rules and these guidelines around how do I want to communicate within my company. All right. Next up, we got files. I love this image. I don't know who created it. If you know, let me know. I want to buy that person lots of beers. I love the fact that if you stay in Teams, it all looks nice and sharp. But if you look at the behind-the-scenes part, it's all a little cluttered. So, of course, you know, with the general channel, it creates folders, private shared, it creates different SharePoint sites. So it's quite a mess. So if you want to be the best Teams team owner that you can be, take a look at the behind the scenes, take a look at the SharePoint behind the scenes. Do we want to use different libraries? Do we want to use metadata? Do we need approvals? Do we need to use conditional formatting? What can we set up to make it easier for our people? The Files tab that you see, you can also add different libraries there. Use that functionality if that is necessary. Or use different libraries as different tabs, for example. If you got the, I don't know, marketing department, let's say, this is my work environment, these are my work files, and I can add a different tab with our market research that might be on a different SharePoint site, but that might be useful to see in my Teams environment. So add those either as a library in the Files tab or create different tabs for that. Yeah. One of the use cases that I get a lot as well is we have a Teams team, and that's just for this department. Behind the scenes, there's a SharePoint site created, and that SharePoint site we want to add into the intranet, because that's the place where that department can say something more about themselves and share files with the rest of the organization. Yeah. I don't know if you see that as well sometimes, that requirement. So it might be that your SharePoint behind the scenes has totally different permissions set up than what's actually happening in your team. And that might be useful, that might also be complicated. Yeah, good. Then our tabs. So as you know, we can add extra tabs. Those could be files, could be websites, could be applications. Use whatever is necessary. I'm a big fan of the Planner app. I'm sure you are as well. But of course, if we're gonna add a planner to our team, we've got a bunch of channels. On what channel do I want to add that specific planner? Do I want to create different plans for different channels, or do I just want to have one? Those are questions that you need to ask. And then the general channel, I want to keep that clean, so it's only for the moderators to give more information about the project because you got a certain milestone, or there's new people coming in, or whatever. Yeah. One of the things that I'm also a big fan of is ask for feedback. And this slide looks very horrible. I'm so sorry. It looks so cool here, but it's very horrible here. So no, I always love feedback. So every time I go on a Tinder date and we end up in bed, the first thing I ask is, how was I? So instant mood killer. Awesome. And then, of course, adjust your structure or the tools that you need based on the needs of the team. Meetings. With every meeting, you always need to ask, is this meeting actually necessary? Or could it be in a fist fight? And then also, I'm a big fan of channel meetings. So instead of me being a part of the HR department, I'm going to create a meeting with everyone from my own Outlook. What you can do is you can just go into the channel where everyone is part of anyway, create a meeting there, say that you want to send individual invites so that everyone gets an invite. You can use those loop agendas. If you record it, if you transcribe it, it immediately goes into the channel in the recordings folder. You don't have to copy it around. It's not stored on your OneDrive. It's just there where everyone can reach it. Even external people, if they're guest accounts, you don't have any fuzz around that. So super easy. Use that functionality. Cool. One of the things that you, of course, need to be or need to do is you need to keep up with all the latest features. Yeah. So one of the things that you can do is come to Teamsdagen, because that's the best place to learn about all the new functionalities. Yeah. I like how Microsoft these days is also more proactive with saying like, oh, this is new this month. So you get this pop-up, oh, this is what we added this month. I love that because let's say 2 or 3 years ago, we would come to the office, we would open up Teams, and we would suddenly see a new button. Nobody informed me about this new button. So now they're doing a better job. Share best practices. I love that functionality as well. What if you do, with all the Teams owners in your organization, just every, let's say, 2 months, do a little fika moment. Grab some coffee. If you're the owner of Teams in your organization, buy cookies, get some coffee, get everyone together, have a little fika moment, do a little round table. Maybe you can use whiteboard. If you were in Carolina's session earlier about whiteboard, you can use a whiteboard. Everyone can use a Post-it and send in a tip and talk about the tip that they have to use Teams in a better way. Yeah. You can also use short videos and tips if you want to onboard new people that have never used with Teams. You can, of course, look at my YouTube channel, shameless plug. No, I do all these videos in Dutch. That's my niche because there's so many really good content out there in English. So if you just look on YouTube or even TikTok for that matter, just look for Teams. You'll find so many really good videos that give you a lot of information. I know that man with the hat creates very big blog posts about new functionalities as well. So if you have a lot of time, you can read those. Or you can just use Copilot to say, summarize this blog post. Read it aloud, yes. If you're going on your jog in the morning, you can just have that read. Yeah. So definitely train your owners. So train the people that are using Teams, your team members, but also train your owners because they have that example function. They're the front in your organization. They need to know all the things that they want to impose, and they need to help the people in their team if they want to do that. So they have a direct impact on your user adoption. So those are very important people to notify. All right. Look at that. So these are some touchy-feely bits that I want to add. These are some examples that I got from Harvard Business Review that don't have anything to do with technology. It's more about how you can make sure that collaboration is happening. So ways to engage your team members, be the shining example. I love that. Mention people, look for opportunities, be available to your people. I mean, this is pretty default stuff. I love this one as well. Set good standards. Don't inherit the company culture. As a consultant, I go to many different organizations. Some organizations are amazing. Some organizations just have a very shitty culture. It's just what it is. Don't inherit that culture. Just decide as a team's owner, for this project or for this team, this is how I want people to behave. I want people to be nice to each other. I want people to encourage each other. Or it might be a place to lay some dirty jokes. I don't know. Could be whatever you want it to be. So treat each other nicely. And that also gives people a sense of control, how they want to behave. Now, if you set those standards, repeat those standards every once in a while so that we all know how we need to behave. So a few people here are Microsoft MVPs. So we do a lot of meetings with Microsoft. Every meeting with Microsoft starts with the same screen, the rules on how to behave in this meeting. Always be friendly to each other, always be open for other opinions, things like that. So I love that, and I kind of copy that into some meetings as well. Show what good looks like and make change doable. I love that. And then model the behavior because your people are watching you. How you act under pressure. So make sure that you do this in a good way. Filter the noise. If you do a certain project's not going well, or if there's some drama between team members, be the filter so that it doesn't spiral out of control. You can't do it all. Focus on what matters most. One of the things that I also like is have some consiglieres. For the people that saw the Godfather movie, have some lieutenants, have some channel owners. I like to do that. When I've got a big team, I can't always manage the whole team. I'll just have people managing a certain channel. And I know we can't really do that in an IT way to have really a channel owner, but just make sure that everyone knows that that person is the person that is responsible for the content in that channel. So divide and conquer. Yes. Good. Little recap. So we need to facilitate, we need to teach our people, we need to correct our people, and most of all, which is the most important thing, is get out of the way. Yeah? If you want to let people collaborate, make sure that they work together, get out of the way. Set everything up, set up the guidelines, and then step back and watch the magic happen. Yeah. Cool. A lot of information, so I didn't make a checklist. ChatGPT made a checklist that you might want to use. Slides will be available anyway. So that is something that you can use if you want to manage a team in a good way. And with that, it's done. So if you have any questions, I'll be here. If not, I wish you a very happy rest of your day. As I said, I've got a few of these keychains here. Please make sure that I don't need to carry them back, because it always looks very weird when I have to say to the security people at the airport that these are my nipple clamps. So, yeah, anyway. So with that, thank you so much.